Hello everyone, good evening to all. I would like to welcome all the viewers of Tadvidya Sambhasha Parishad to this live session of Prasuti and Stri Roga. Myself, Dr. Ratna, working as Assistant Professor at Hillside Ayurveda Medical College, Bangalore, in the Department of Prasuti and Stri Roga. So from last previous classes, we had discussed about a lot of things about Yoni Vyapat Prakarana, that is gynecological disorders, uh, especially which include some anatomical aspects like Mahayoni Vyapa, that is displacement of the uterus, retroverted uterus, and also we had discussed about some of gynecological infections like Kafaja Yoni Vyapad, Acharana, Aticharana Yoni Vyapad, and also Pittaja Yoni Vyapan, along with some female sexual dysfunctions like Atyananda Yoni Vyapat and some of congenital disorders like Shandi Suchimukhi Yoni Vyapat. And today in this session, I would like to speak about a new topic, which is one of the important topic in the syllabus, that is Arthava Vyapat. Is this slide is visible? So Arthava Vyapat is menstrual disorders. Arthava Vyapad is menstrual disorders. So under this Arthava Vyapad, in our Samhita, there are so many topics have been explained. So those are Arthava Kshaya, Arthava Vruddhi, Nashtarthava, Anarthava and Asriktara and so on. And very importantly, Ashtarthava Dushti, that is 8 disorders of menstruation. So today, among this, we will discuss about Arthava Kshaya. So before going to the topic, I would like to mention about some of the basic concepts regarding Arthava. So in the previous, that is in first session of this Tadvidya Sambhasha, in the first session I had discussed about Stri Sharir Rachana, that is basic anatomical concepts which is explained in Ayurveda as well as modern concepts, but we had not went in deep about the physiological concepts of menstruation or arthava in detail. So as today we are discussing about menstrual disorders, so I would like to explain a basic concepts regarding arthava first. So as you all know, arthava, it is a upadhatu of rasadhatu. So the paribhasha of arthava is, and this arthava in different contexts it can be taken as sometimes it can be considered as menstrual blood, and in some other contexts it can be taken as ovum, that is bija, and also it can be taken as ovarian hormones also. So that means rajorupi artava and both the dhatu rupi artava. So here the menstrual disorders what we are going to learn in these following sessions, it's mainly related to the physiological disturbances regarding the menstruation and also some disturbances or disorders due to some hormonal imbalances. The paribhasha of artava is Rajah Strinam Masi Masi Trayam Sravet. That is, Raja or Artava or both are same. Raja is, it is the periodical discharge occurring in women for 3 days. So it is a periodical discharge occurring in women for 3 days. That means the menstruation, or it is a visible manifestation of uterine bleeding due to the shedding of endometrium, and this is because of due to invisible interplay of hormones which is regulated or controlled by HPO axis, that is hypothalamo pituitary ovarian axis. This is the paribhasha of Artava or Raja. So it is a visible manifestation of uterine bleeding due to the shedding of endometrium. So that's what in our Samhitas they have explained Masi Masi Trayam Sravet. That is the periodical discharge which occurs in women for 3 days. And the Utpatti, regarding Utpatti of Artava, Rasadeva Striya Raktam Rajah Sangnam Pravartate. This is according to Sushruta Sutrasthana 14th chapter. He explained Rasadeva Striya Raktam Rajah Sangnam Pravartate. That means Raja is the considered as Rakta only, and which is formed from the Rasadhatu. And further, Acharya Dalhana, the Tikakara of Sushruta Samhita, he explains Rasat Stanyam Artavam Cha. That is, both the Stanya and Artava are the Upadhatus of Rasadhatu. So the food, whatever we consumed in daily, it is gets digested in the stomach and it is converted as Ahara Rasa due to Dhatu Paka. And this Ahara Rasa helps in the formation of all the body tissues or tissues in the body, and that too in chronological order, that is from Rasa to Rakta, Rakta to Mamsa, Mamsa to Meda. The end product is Shukra and Oja Dhatu. So like this, whatever the food we consume, it is going to convert it into Ahara Rasa due to the Dhatu Paka, and from this Ahara Rasa all the tissues has been nourished, and thus Artava and Stanya Dhatu Upadhatus Utpatti will takes place. And also this Raja, as I said, it is formed from the Rasa Dhatu and it is expels, that is Masayenopachita Kale Dhamanibhyam Tadartavam. Masayenopachita Kale Dhamanibhyam Tadartavam Ishat Krishna Vivaranam Cha Vayur Yonimukam Nayet. That is, the blood is collected for the whole month by the two dhamanis, that is, two dhamanis here is Artavavahi dhamanis, and expelled through the Yoni Mukha, that is vaginal orifice, by the help of Vayu. And it is Ishat Krishna, that is slightly black in color or dark red in color. And next is Pramana of Artava. So if you see the quantity or Pramana of Artava in Samhitas, it has been explained, that is 4 Anjalis. This is according to Ashtanga Hrudaya Sharirasthana. The approximately the quantity or Pramana of Artava is 4 Anjali, that is approximately equals to 4 ounces. So here 1 ounces can be taken as 28 ml. So according to modern science is obstetric also, the normal quantity of menstrual blood for every month, that is, so whatever here it is, the Pramana is indicated as a whatever the excreted blood, that is excreted menstrual blood quantity it is. So it is around 30 to 80 ml. So whatever in our Samhitas the concept as explained, that is 4 Anjalis, it is approximately equal to 30 to 80 ml of normal menstrual blood which is going to excrete every month for 3 to 5 days. And next move on to Shuddha Artava Lakshana. So there are 2 references. One is from Charaka Samhita, Charaka Chikitsa Sthana. In that, Charaka explains Gunja Phala Savarnancha Padmalaktaka Sannibham Indragopa Sankasham Artavam Shuddhamadishet. That is, The characteristics of normal menstrual blood is Nishpicha Daha Arti, that is, it should be devoid of burning sensation, that is Daha, Vedana, that is pain, and also Nishpichilatva, that is, it should be devoid of Pichilatva, and Na Ati Alpam Artavam, that is, it should be neither heavy or it should be neither scanty, that is Pramana, and it also resembles the color of Gunja Phala, that is Gunja fruit, and also it maybe resembles the color of Padma, that is red lotus flower, or Laktaka, that is Alaktaka is it resembles the color of Laksha Rasa, or it maybe resembles the color of Indragopa, that is it's a kind of insect. So whatever our acharyas has mentioned is the normal color, odor and consistency of menstrual blood. That means it should be devoid of pichilatva, that is non-slimy, and it should be devoid of daha, vedana, and it should be neither heavy or nor scanty in quantity, and also regarding color. So if this color is altered, then consider it is affected by any other doshas, or that is either it is afflicted by vata, pitta or kapha dosha. If at all the menstrual blood is afflicted, then it changes in color and also in consistency also. So this is the Shuddhartava Lakshana. And according to Sushruta, Shashahasrak Pratimam Yattu Yadva Laksha Rasopamam Tadartavam Prashamasanti Yadva Sona Viranjayat. That is, the menstrual blood, the color of the menstrual blood is as similar to the Shasha Rakta, that is rabbit's blood or Laksha Rasa, and also it does not stain the cloths, that is Tadhartavam Prashamasanti Yadvaso na Viranjayat. Yadvaso na Viranjayat means it does not stain the cloths, or it could be easily washed off from the cloth. So this is the normal characteristics of menstrual blood, that is Shuddhartava Lakshana. It is very important topic in Vivas for third year UG students. Next, move on to the topic, that is Artavakshaya. So Artavakshaya is the condition in which the menstruation does not appear in its appropriate time. Menstruation does not appear in its appropriate time, or it is one among Arthava Vyapa, that is menstrual disorders, which occurs due to Avarana of Artavaha Srutas by Kapha and Vata dosha. And the word Kshaya is derived from Kshi Dhatu, which means to cease or to be reduced. And according to Charaka, the word meaning of Kshaya is said to be Rasa or Nyunyata, that is means reduction in the quantity. Actually, this Artavakshaya, sometimes it is a symptom among 8 Artavadushti and also acts as a single disease, because Chakrapani says that any symptom may manifest as a separate diseases sometimes. If any symptom is neglected, if it is not treated as early as possible, so in a chronic stage, it may be any symptom may be manifest as a separate disease also. Next, Nidana of Artavakshaya. As such, there is no direct reference for Artavakshaya factors, that is for aggravation or for kshaya of artava, which leading to artava kshaya. But the factors responsible for aggravation of particular doshas can be considered in this context. So here artava kshaya is in artava. So here in this particular concept, artava is in kshayavastha, that is in diminished state. So also pitta decreases. So as we all know, the ashraya ashrayi bhava of pitta and rakta, as I already mentioned, artava is nothing but it is the essence of rasa and rakta. So as pitta takes stana sanshraya, ashraya ashrayi bhava of both the pitta and rakta are same. That means whenever the pitta pramana is increases, rakta pramana get increases, and whenever pitta kshaya takes place, then rakta and artava kshaya also takes place. So here the basically artava is in kshaya avastha. So also pitta is also in kshaya avastha, and also it is due to margavarodha, which is caused by vata and kapha dosha. So that means hence these both the vata and kapha are in prakopavastha. So here what we can state that the factors which affect or which vitiate and aggravate the vata and kapha dosha factors and causes decreases of pitta should be considered. So whatever the mithya achara, that is mithya ahara and vihara, that is abnormal dietic and abnormal mode of living, which can decreases the pitta dosha, and whatever the aharas or whatever the activities we are doing which can causes increases or aggravates the kapha and vata factors like divasvapna, ratri jagarana and atiruksha, annapana sevana. So all those things which can lead to vata and kapha vriddhi. And also asatmya anna sevana, anashana. So all this leads to pitta kshaya. And ati samshamana, that is samshamana, and also ati samshodhana, that is excessive purificatory measures. And ati vyayama, obviously ati vyayama leads to vata vriddhi, and ati maituna. So all these are some basic nidanas which can be taken under artava kshaya, which is mainly going to affect the or does the pitta kshaya and vata kapha vriddhi. And next, moving to samprapti. So here basically, so whatever the dosha dushas involved are, so as I said, artava kshaya, artava is as one of the upadhatu of rasadhatu. So the basic samprapti involved here is rasadhatu kshaya and vata kaphavrita margavarodha, and also because of artavavaha sroto vidhata. That is the opposite factors leads to rasarakta dhatukshaya. So whatever the nidanas which I have mentioned, that is mityachara, asatmya, anashana and all, which leads to rasarakta dhatukshaya, and artava as upadhatu of rasa, hence resulting in kshaya of artava. And again the causative factors which vitiates the kapha and vata doshas. So this aggravated factors or this aggravated kapha does the avarana of apana vayu. So please mention this point. The whatever the kapha aggravated, it does the avarana of the apana vayu, and this kaphavrita vata causes margavarodha, resulting in reduced flow of artava. So that means whenever if we want to give the treatment, this samprapti vigatana chikitsa we have to give. So basically the involved samprapti here is one is rasadhatu kshaya, and due to kaphavrita apanavata leads to margavarodha and results in reduced flow of artava. And also third point, it may be reduced due to any trauma to the artavavaha srotas, which leads to artava nasha. So it is a direct reference. It is from Sushruta Samhita. He has mentioned there are two numbers of artavaha. स्रोतस् आर्तवः द्वे तयोर्मूलं गर्भाशय आर्तववाहिन्यश्च दमन्यः. That is, the Sroto Mula of Artavah Srotas is Garbhashaya and two Artavahini Dhamanis. And Tatra Vidyayam Vandyatvam Maituna Sahishnutvam Artavanashascha. That means any injury or trauma to this Artavah Srotas leads to Artava Nasha. That is destruction of Artava. So here the Artava is not completely destroyed, but there is a suppression resulting in irregularities in the menstruation. And next, Samprati Ghataka. Here the dosha involved is Vata and Kapha, and Dushyas are Rasa, Rakta and Artava, and Srotas is Rasavaha Srotas and Artavaha Srotas. And Sroto Dushti is Sangha. That is due to Margavarodha, there will be a Sangha will present. And Udbhavasthana is from Pakvashya again, because as Rasavaha Srotas and Rasadhatu involvement is there. So basically the Udbhavasthana is from Pakvashya only. And Adhisthana is to Yoni and Garbhashaya. And Roga Marga, it is Abhyantara Roga Marga. And next, Rupa or Lakshana of Artavakshaya. Yatochita Kala Adarshanam Alpatava Yoni Vedanacha. So these are the basic three Lakshanas which is present in Artavakshaya. That is Yatochita Kala Adarshanam means, so as we know, the intermenstrual period between the two cycles is 28 days, or considered it as a 1 month. So here what will happen means Yatochita Kala Adarshana means here the menstruation does not appears in appropriate time, or it may be delayed. So that means consider today is the LMP of the patient, that is today 2nd July is the LMP, and her next LMP, that is next expected menstrual date is for 30th of July, or if it is considered 30 days of cycle, then next 2nd of August. So what will happens in this condition means Yatochita Kala Adarshanam, that means the menstruation does not appear in appropriate time, that means it may be delay हो जाता है, that means 2nd अगस्त को नहीं आता है, फिर से लेट करके 15 दिन लेट होना, 20 दिन तक लेट होना, ऐसे हो जाएगा, that means it will not comes in an appropriate time. And Alpatava, that means Alpata refers to Kshudra Pramana, that means reduced menstrual flow or scanty menstruation. That means if at all it comes in an appropriate time also, it is reduced in quantity. So as we all know, the quantity of that is the normal amount is at least it should be bleed 30 to 80 ml for 3 to 5 days. So what will happen means the amount of and duration of menstrual flow will reduce it, and it is considered as scanty menstruation. And third one is Yoni Vedana. So here basically the mainly involved dosha is Apanavata is mainly affected. So it causes Yoni Vedana. And also Bhava Prakasha is explains. So a woman who is suffering from Artavakshaya Lakshanas, she desires a food and beverages of Katu, Amla, Lavana, Ushna, Vidahi and Guru Padartha. That means she want to consumes or eats such kinds of food and food articles and beverages, as because in her body Pittakshaya and Artavakshaya Lakshanas are showing. So that's why she will desires of all these food articles. So this is one of the Lakshana also. Next move on to Chikitsa part. In Samhitas they have mentioned Tatra Samshodhanam Agneyanam cha Dravyanam Vidivat Upayogah. Tatra Samshodhanam Agneyanam cha Dravyanam Vidivat Upayogah. So as it is in main Samprapti, Margavarodha is present due to Vata Kapha Avrita, and also Pitta Kshaya is present. So we have to do some Shodhana Chikitsa, that the Samshodhanam is very beneficial, and also according to the condition of the patient, we have to do the purificatory measure, that is the Shodhana Karma, and also administration of Agneya Dravyas. Agneya Dravyas means which is going to helpful, that is having more and more of Ushna, Tikshna and Lagu Dravyas, because these drugs which are going to help to increase the Pitta and also Artava. So as a Shodhana, here we can perform both Vamana and Virechana are indicated. So here Vamana does the Saumya Dhatu Nirharana, that is, as it cleanses the channels which is directed upwards. And Virechana, here Virechana means we should not give Tikshna Virechana, as it again by giving Tikshna Virechana, as it reduces the Pitta Dhatu, so we have to give mild Virechana like Anulomana can be done here, as it does the Vatanulomana and also indicated in Vata Dushti. So as a Shodhana, both Vamana and Anulomana can be done. And administration of Agneya Dravyas. And also we have to perform Deepana Pachana for normal Agni. And then Sroto Shodaka Dravyas should be given, as it is Margavarodha has been occurred due to Vata and Kapha. And also we have to give Vata Kaphahara Dravyas. And next, Balya Dravyas is indicated. As I mentioned, it is basically due to Rasa, Rakta and Artava Dhatu Kshaya will be there. So basically we have to give some Balya Dravyas also. So these are some pharmacological preparations which can be indicated in Artava Kshaya condition. So after performing Sadhyo Vamana or some Anulomana therapy, and after giving some Deepana and Pachana Dravyas, we can go with we can give Kumaryasava, especially Kumari is the best Artava Janaka Dravya, so we can give Kumaryasava around 15 to 30 ml of Kumaryasava in a BD dosage, at least for 2 to 3 months. And next we can prescribe Rajapravartini Vati, as in Rajapravartini Vati the base basic ingredient is again the Kumari, that is Janasara, and another yogas like Nashta Pushtanta Karasa. And as I mentioned, Yoni Vedana is also one of the symptoms in Artavakshaya. So if at all, if it's any associated complaints like pain, so we can, or infection, we can prescribe Chandra Prabhavati, and especially Lohasava for Rasa and Rakta Dhatu Vruddhi, and Balarishta in underweight patients. So whenever in a teenage girls or in a pubertal time पे अगर ज़्यादा अगर ये हो गया तो then we can give in underweight persons, we can give Balarishta, and also Tankana Basma, as it increases the Pitta, and also Aravindasava usually indicated in teenage patients with associated complaints of anorexia and some eating problems. And as a fertility purpose, if a woman is considered if the woman is in reproductive age, and if she is suffering from this symptoms, that is Artavakshaya Lakshanas, so as a fertility purpose we can prescribe Bruhat Kalyanaka Gruta and Falagruta. So these are some pharmacological preparation which are going to prescribe according to the condition of the patient. Next, as a pathya, we can give Raktashali, Yava, Sura, Krishna Tilak Vata with Guda, and again Tila and Karavi. Karavi, it is a kind of again it's a kind of Tila only, and Karavi with Guda, and other food articles like Dadi, Masha, Kulatta, Mamsarasa, Matsya, Amla Kanji, and Gomutra. So all these are some Pathya Dravyas which is going to helpful in Artava Kshaya condition. Next, move on to some modern concepts of Artava Kshaya. So as I mentioned, it is Analpatava and Yatochitakala Adarshanam. That means, so it compared with, it can be correlated to two conditions which is explained under abnormal uterine bleeding. One is oligomenorrhea and hypomenorrhea. So oligomenorrhea basically means a menstrual periods which is at intervals of more than 35 days. So as we all know, the normal duration of, that is a normal interval period between two cycle is 28 days or 38 days. That is the normal regularity between the cycle is 28 to 30 days. So whenever these menstrual cycles or periods or bleeding occurs at the interval of more than 35 days, then it is considered as oligomenorrhea. So that means here the cycle is more than 35 days, but the duration, sometimes the duration and amount of menstrual bleeding is normal only. That means 3 दिन के लिए 5 दिन के लिए bleeding होता है और amount भी moderate रहता है, लेकिन डेट जो periods जो हो रहा है वो डिले करके होता है. That means she is not getting her periods at a appropriate time or in a expected period of time. So that is called oligomenorrhea. So the causes behind this oligomenorrheas are, one is it is age related. That means it is oligomenorrhea usually present during adolescence period and also during preceding menopause. That is perimenopausal period. So during adolescence, that is during 12 to 16 years of age, here the gonadotropins are not adequate to stimulate the follicles. So it is purely a physiological concept. So during adolescence time period में क्या होता है? Here the gonadotropins, the whatever the gonadotropins hormones which is going to release from pituitary are not adequate to stimulate the follicles in the ovaries. So if there is no adequate follicles, so less estrogen level will be present. So because of this less estrogen levels, so priming of endometrium will not take place properly. So without priming of endometrium, there will be no shedding of endometrium or uterine bleeding will takes place. So this is the why the oligomenorrhea which is present during adolescence period. And during preceding menopause, that is during perimenopausal period, that is around the age of 40 to 45 years of age, in this age group, there is no more responsible follicles are present in the ovaries for gonadotropins. So जो भी gonadotropins हार्मोन रिलीज होता है, वो रिलीज होने के बाद भी ओवरीज में responsive follicles नहीं रहता है, because as it is the end age of reproductive age, end stage of reproductive age, so there is no more responsible follicles will be present. So that's why again oligomenorrhea will present. So this is mainly which is present as a age related. And second cause is weight related. That is, it's usually present in obese persons, because usually in obese persons the hyperinsulinemia condition will take place, that is insulin resistance will take place, and because of this obesity SHBG hormone, that is sex hormone binding globulin hormone, is less. So whenever this SHBG hormone is less, there will be a more production of free androgen will takes place in the body. So whenever there will be a more free androgens will present, it leads to oligomenorrhea, and eventually it leads to amenorrhea also. And third cause behind oligomenorrhea is stress related. That is some of psychogenic factors like when such as stress, anxiety or excitement for an event or any these factors suppresses the activity center of the brain and may result into low hormonal productions. And also which is oligomenorrhea seen in a person's who does severe or excessive exercises like athletes, runners, dancers. So in all these persons, so due to this excessive exercises, they have the high level of CRH, that is corticotropin releasing hormone. So due to this high levels of cortisol levels, it will reduces the or it will alter the GnRH function. So basically what we mention in Ayurvedic concept, that is whatever vidhana we will tell, that is ati vyayama, ati maituna. So all these factors which basically um, leads to high level of cortisol level increases. It leads to increase in the cortisol level. So whenever this cortisol level increases, it inhibits the GnRH production. So thus whenever GnRH will inhibit, it inhibits the again FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone. So no further growth of follicles, no production of estrogen, and again no maturation or priming of endometrium. So it causes less bleeding again. So this is the uh, pathology or concept, pathophysiology behind this stress and exercises. And also it is present in some endocrine disorders. I repeat, oligomenorrhea may be seen in some endocrinal disorders like PCOS, that is polycystic ovarian syndrome. Again, in this condition, again androgen secretion will be more, and also is seen in conditions like hyperprolactinemia and hyperthyroidism. So in both these two conditions, that is in hyperprolactinemia and hyperthyroidism, there will be a raised levels of TRH, that is thyrotropic releasing hormone, and prolactin levels. So both these two hormones, that is TRH and prolactin, inhibits the ovarian steroidogenesis, and that leads to oligomenorrhea and amenorrhea. And other, it is also present due to oligomenorrhea also seen in the cases of androgen producing tumors. So whoever a person suffering from androgen producing tumors, that is ovarian tumors or adrenal tumors. And it is also present in tubercular endometritis, that is it's a kind of infection, bacterial infection. And whoever a person who are taking drugs like phenothiazines, that is antidepressant drugs. So whenever a person's if history of if they are taking any medications like antidepressant drugs and cimetidine or antihypertensive drugs like methyl dopa, so all these drugs may leads to oligomenorrhea. So basically uh, to diagnose the condition, first we have to take careful history taking, that means regarding all considering from the age factor, and also whatever the personal history and also medical history. So all these are very important. And next move on to hypomenorrhea. Hypomenorrhea means uterine bleeding that is regular but is decreased in amount. So here क्या होता है? Frequency is normal. That means expected time period में periods आ रहा है, लेकिन the amount is less. That means so जो भी endometrium shed होके जो भी bleeding जो हो रहा है वो scanty हो रहा है, amount में कम है. So that is said to be hypomenorrhea. That is whenever the menstrual bleeding is unduly scanty and less than 2 days, which is going to occur in less than 2 days. The normal duration is 3 to 5 days is the normal duration of menstruation, but here it is unduly scanty and also bleeding occurs for less than 2 days. So the causes behind hypomenorrhea are, one is because of local causes, that is due to uterine synanche or due to intrauterine adhesions, which is usually present in endometrium tuberculosis. So here the bleeding surfaces due to intrauterine adhesions, the bleeding surfaces is smaller, and also it is rarely present in uterine hypoplasia. And also hypomenoric condition can be seen in a person who is using oral contraceptive pills, that is बर्थ कंट्रोल पिल्स जो भी ले रहे पेशेंट्स उनमें हाइपोमेनोरिक कंडीशन हमेशा रहता है. And also IUD releases hormones. So whoever a person using intrauterine devices which releases hormones, because in this hormonal controlling tablets or hormone controlling these IUDs have contained some low level of estrogen, and it reduces the growth of endometrium. And again, hypomenoric condition can be seen in thyroid dysfunction and in premenopausal period, and also as a systemic malnutrition. So that means systemic malnutrition means, so whenever a person is suffering from any kind of rasa rakta dhatukshaya, that is severe kind of anemia, iron deficiency anemia, folic acid deficiency anemia, tuberculosis. So in these patients, hypomenorrhea will seen. So the treatment behind this oligomenorrhea and hypomenorrhea means we have to treat the patient according to the cause. So that means if a person is taking oral contraceptive pills or any other drugs, like any antidepressive drugs or cimetidine, methyl dopa, etc., like that, so we have to we should ask the patient to stop the medication. And in the cases of thyroid abnormalities, we have to treat the thyroid abnormalities first by giving thyronorm or any thyroid levels. And in the cases of tumors, if at all they are suffering from any kind of adrenal tumors or ovarian tumors, surgical removal is only the option. And in the cases of PCOS, so basically it is the entirely big concept. So again, by giving metformin and by controlling insulin and all, we have to treat the patient. And again, in obesity, if at all it is due to obesity, weight reduction is first and foremost treatment. And in the cases of exercises or heavy stress, the counseling is very important. So this is regarding आर्तव क्षय. So लगता है एक only it's a simple word, that is reduce in menstruation, इतना ही लगता है. लेकिन if we go in deep, the entire the nidanas, the basic samprapti concepts and samprapti ghatakas and all we are included. And also I have mentioned about some pharmacological preparations and also some modern concepts regarding this Artavakshaya. So in later sessions, in further sessions, I will discuss about the other remaining topics, that is Artava Vritti, Asrigdara and Ashtartava Dushti. So by this, I want to conclude this session. If any doubts, regarding this Artavakshaya, you can comment me over on this page. Thank you.